Okay, picking up where we left off, we were talking about using the mouse as an input device. On page 13, they talk about one of the newer trends is to use voice recognition. So a lot of the smartphones today, for that matter, even some of the game consoles, allow you to talk to your device, and it does rudimentary voice recognition and allows you to do things. So it works pretty decent. Next, they talk about scanners. That's a typical input device. I have a scanner, for example. I'll take pieces of paper and I'll put it on the scanner and hit a button. Zip, it makes a PDF file or something out of it that I can save on my computer. So yeah, it's a device that is an input device. It's not something you would type on, obviously, but it's a decent input device. Okay, on page 14, they talk about the class of output devices. Well, one of the most obvious output devices is a printer. Printers produce output. If I'm in the middle of doing a word processing document and I hit the print button, out comes the printed page. Cool. So that's just one type of device. Their definition is actually pretty cool. They talk about an output device is any hardware component that conveys information from a computer or mobile device to one or more people. So in other words, from their point of view, it's the computer-human interface going this way, from the computer to the human. So, not just printers, but if you turn the page, they also talk about the display. The display being another typical output device. Now, I want to stop for just a second and talk about the term display. Do you have any idea how many different terms there are used to describe this thing that we're staring at now? Let's see. The screen, the display, the monitor. The monitor? What am I monitoring? A screen? A little like a window screen? These terms don't make any sense. CRT, flat panel, all these weird terms. And so it's no surprise that people get so confused, like, tech support, and the guy says, can you turn on the monitor? And they go, monitor? What the heck is a monitor? Because you've never heard it called monitor before. So anyway, yes, displays. So display device is something that shows you so your eyeballs can see it. Typically text, graphics, video, things of that nature. So eyeballs are covered. Let's continue on the next page, page 15, for your ears. And typically desktop computers have speakers. They could be external speakers that sit on your desk. There could be speakers that's built into the case, or perhaps even speakers built into the monitor or the display. Or you can also just have earphone jacks where you plug in someplace and you'll be able to hear your stuff. So yes, a speaker or earphone jack is an output device. Sure, it's an output device. It's outputting sound. Okay, so let's talk about one more time on page 15. They talk about the kind of inner workings of the computer, and they make a distinction between memory and storage. This is another one of those fundamental concepts that you just gonna have to get. Okay. My computer and my tablet and my phone, whatever, it doesn't matter, has two different kinds of things. One is the memory. Memory is what some people call the working set. It's where information is held while it's being processed. Okay? Now, typically, nothing happens in a computer unless it's in memory. Okay? That make any sense? If something's going on, it's going on in memory. Storage is that, here's a cool term, the persistent storage, which means when the machine is not doing anything, like it's completely powered down, that stuff stays. So my Word document, for example, is stored on my hard drive, which is that persistent storage. But while I'm working on it, while I'm composing the letter to Grandma, it's both in memory, the part I'm working on, and in persistent storage, both. And when I'm done working on this, it goes to persistent storage. So it comes out of persistent storage, allows me to tweak it, make some changes, and then it goes back to persistent storage. So memory is all about this transient thing. That's where the computer wants to do its work, and it has a very, very short attention span. You have a lightning strike, or the power goes out, or you hit the power button, the stuff in memory is gone, but the stuff in persistent storage stays. So that's the fundamental difference. Okay, so if you haven't figured it out yet, that's definitely like a test question. Okay, all right. So let's talk about that persistent storage. And there's all sorts of different categories they talk about on page 16 and 17. They talk about hard disks. And hard disk is just a thing inside your computer. It typically has some rotating memory. That's a horrible term. But basically it has disks, a small metallic disc that spin. And you can store tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. Lots of stuff on those guys. Solid state disks, sometimes called SSDs, those are kind of the kind of things that you might find in a tablet. And the reason is hard drives are pretty cool, but they're kind of susceptible to being banged around because the thing is spinning, right? It's spinning and spinning and spinning. I mean, you can't bang on it or wobble around and self-destruct. So you need something that is relatively fast, lower power, physically smaller, and much more tolerant of being jostled around. And so solid state disks are that. They could be physically smaller. They are a lot faster than hard drives in certain types of operations, and they're significantly better than hard drives as far as their ability to handle jostles and bumps. Okay, the only disadvantage is, they're orders of magnitude more expensive than hard drives. Okay, USB flash drives, everyone knows what these guys are. I mean, this is what I use all the time when going back and forth to school. Now, this is convenience. I mean, this is designed for convenience. It just plugs into an available USB port, and I'm fat, dumb, and happy. I copy files back and forth. Is it incredibly fast? No. Is it really, really huge? It's big enough. Is it cheap? Oh, yeah. It's cheap. I can buy a box of these. You can go to Walmart and buy a 3-pack of USB drives. So yes, they're dirt cheap. Good for just carrying things around in your pocket. That's kind of what it's designed for. Memory cards. If you have a camera or a phone, some of the storage, the external storage, is going to be this itty-bitty little chip called a memory card. And man, they are getting tiny and tiny and tiny. Tinier than your thumbnail now, where you crack open your phone and you push this little thing in, close your phone up, and now you've got 16, 32 gigabytes of storage available to your device. And those are typically designed just for those small devices. Optical discs. Everyone knows what a CD-ROM or a DVD is. Typically, if you go to buy a boxed product, you go to a store and buy a copy of something. It's going to have a cardboard box and a bunch of leaflets, but the guts, of course, is that CD-ROM. And you slap that into a CD-ROM reader and, install your software or whatever it is. Okay. The last category is cloud computing. This is something that actually has been around for quite some time. It's just received an awful lot of hype. Now, cloud computing, like I said, probably the first use of cloud computing was email, where I had an email service like Gmail, for example, that's available to me worldwide, no matter where I'm at. As long as I have an internet connection, I can connect to my email. So that is a type of cloud computing. It's a service provided by Google in this case, which provides me access to my email no matter where I'm at. So that's one example of cloud computing. Another good example, you guys have probably seen this on TV. There'll be a commercial for backing up your computer, right? Keeping all of your stuff. And this guy goes over to his computer and he types in a couple of commands, hits a button and walks off and leaves and has a spa day for the rest of the day while his machine is all being backed up. That's all done on the cloud. It's all done through the internet and stored on this magic cloud someplace. The cool part about the cloud is I don't have to know or care physically where that stuff is stored. So for example, someone said, where is your Gmail stored? I go, I don't know, Albuquerque? Boston? I don't know. And furthermore, I don't care. It's none of my business. I'm contracting to provide, for them to provide this email to me, and I don't care where it is. If they moved it from one place to another, I don't care. As long as I get my email, what do I care? Okay, so cloud computing is really designed to make it useful to wherever you are. That's really the key to it. Okay, so let's continue on page 18, talking about the basic definition of the internet. And there's a definition here, and I'll go ahead and read it. It talks about the internet as a worldwide collection of networks that connects millions of businesses, government agencies, and educational institutions and individuals. Wow. Talk about a definition that has no value. Okay. So basically what the internet is a collection of publicly accessible computers that you can get to from your machine. Okay? In order to participate on the internet, all you basically need is a compatible set of communication protocols. It's sort of like putting a bunch of people in a room. As long as they're speaking the same language, you're okay. That's essentially what this is. So they make some distinction between the web, or the World Wide Web, or WWW, the web. And so the web is consists of worldwide collection of electronic documents, each of which are called a web page. So the web is a collection of documents called web pages. Okay? A website is a collection of web pages. So for example, I have a website, and it's got a gazillion pages. Okay? And then you have a web server. Now, you would probably never see a web server. The web server, again, is just like the other example of a server. It's going to be sitting someplace. So, for example, I have a website, and I don't even know where it's hosted. If somebody, once again, if somebody said, what city is your website hosted in? I would say, I don't know. Don't have a clue. I've had that web service for 5 years or so. I still don't have a clue where the heck it is. Furthermore, I don't care. All right, so web page, website, web server. Okay, good. All right, let's keep going. So the internet is composed of lots of things. Well, okay, let's don't get into that yet. Hang on just a second. We'll hold that thought. Okay, on page 19 is a term called downloading. The most classical definition of downloading is I'm pulling something off the internet and putting it on, my device. That's what I'm doing. And so I downloaded a file, or I downloaded a video, or I downloaded a photo, something of that nature. The opposite would be, uploading a file and uploading a video, or uploading a picture. I've heard people use this incorrectly. They'll say, yeah, I downloaded Microsoft Word. And I'm thinking, you did? Should I call the police? Well, what they talked about is they grabbed a CD-ROM and they stuck it in their machine and they installed the software. To them, installing software and downloading was the same thing. Well, clearly they're not. So downloading is just the idea of pulling stuff off the internet and storing it on your machine, your device of some sort. Okay. So let's talk about browsers. So I want to connect to the internet. Cool. So I fire up a browser, and here we go. There are a gazillion different browsers out there. And some people even call it the browser wars. Meaning that there are competing browsers out there. The four competing browsers, basically, are Google Chrome, probably one of the more popular, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Safari. Those are the four major browsers. Well, this is a good place to stop for the 15-minute mark. We'll pick this thing up in just a few.